close to John Lennon. What happened that night?
Well, if you want to pick it up from the night, I was standing there with a gun in my pocket.
Knew you were going to shoot him?
Sorry?
Knew you were going to shoot him?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Tried not to, praying not to, but knowing down deep it was probably going to come to that.
December 8th, 1980, New York City. At 10:50 p.m., outside the Dakota Apartments, the world lost one of its greatest songwriters. John Lennon, former Beatle, activist, cultural icon, was shot 4 times at point-blank range. He was 40 years old. The assassin didn't run. He didn't hide. He simply stood there, reading a book. The world would never be the same. To understand that night, we must go back to the days and the man leading up to it. John Lennon wasn't just a musician. He was a voice, a movement. He was one of the 4 Beatles, the band that changed the world. From Imagine to All You Need Is Love. His words became anthems for peace. His activism made him a symbol of hope, and sometimes controversy. But by 1980, Lennon was living quietly in New York, focused on family, fatherhood, and a new chapter. He had no idea someone was stalking him. The assassin, Mark David Chapman, arrived in New York days before the murder. A troubled man, conflicted and obsessed. He grew up the unhappy son of a military family. And as a child, he developed several obsessions, which according to reports included imaginary friends, religion, the Beatles, and Holden Caulfield from The Catcher in the Rye. He became fascinated with suicide and attempted to kill himself in 1977. Failing, he received treatment for depression. He idolized Lennon and hated him at the same time. Chapman felt betrayed by Lennon's wealth, fame, and statements about religion. He carried with him a copy of The Catcher in the Rye, claiming he identified with the fictional anti-hero Holden Caulfield. Chapman was initially a fan of the Beatles, but was infuriated by Lennon's lavish lifestyle, the lyrics of God and Imagine, and public statements such as his remark about the Beatles band being more popular than Jesus. He told people he planned to do something big, but no one took him seriously. On the morning of December 8th, Chapman waited outside Lennon's apartment. Hours passed. He spoke with fans. He even chatted with the doorman. At around 5 p.m., Lennon and his wife Yoko Ono left for a recording session. Chapman approached them, not with a gun, but with an album. John Lennon signed it. A photographer captured the moment, and that became sort of a haunting image of killer and victim, face to face. Chapman later on said, "He was kind to me, a very kind man." Yet he continued to wait. At 10:50 p.m., Lennon and Yoko returned home. They stepped out of their limousine, walking toward the archway of their building. As John Lennon passed him, Chapman called out, "Mr. Lennon?" John turned, and there, Chapman fired 5 shots. 4 hit Lennon's chest and shoulder. He collapsed inside the building, bleeding heavily. Yoko Ono screamed. Residents rushed out. Sirens echoed through the streets. Police arrived within minutes. Finding no time to wait for an ambulance, they placed Lennon into a squad car. Officers later recalled, "He was bleeding so much. We knew it was bad." Lennon was rushed to Roosevelt Hospital. Doctors worked desperately to revive him, but the wounds were too severe. At 11:15 p.m., John Lennon was pronounced dead. News broke almost instantly. During Monday Night Football, broadcaster Howard Cosell announced it to millions live on air. Fans gathered outside the Dakota, lighting candles, singing Beatles songs, and crying. Radio stations around the world stopped their programming to play Lennon's music. Shockwaves spread globally. A symbol of peace had been taken violently. Meanwhile, Mark David Chapman stood calmly at the crime scene. Police arrived to find him reading The Catcher in the Rye. He told officers, "I acted alone." He offered no resistance, nor attempted to flee. When asked why he did it, he gave different answers over the years. Fame, anger, identity crisis, jealousy. No explanation ever made sense. Chapman was charged with second-degree murder. Despite psychiatric evaluations suggesting mental illness, he pleaded guilty. In court, he simply said, "I'm guilty, and I accept responsibility." When he was asked if he had anything else to say, Chapman rose and read a passage from The Catcher in the Rye. He was sentenced to 20 years to life, where he remains to this day, even though he became eligible for parole in 2000. He still remains in prison after 14 denials by the parole board. Yoko Ono's grief. Yoko Ono made a decision. There would be no funeral, no public spectacle. Instead, she asked fans to honor John with 10 minutes of silent reflection. She shielded their son Sean from the chaos. She protected John's legacy fiercely. Lennon's legacy. John Lennon left behind music that shaped generations. Songs of peace, a message of hope, a spirit of rebellion, a dream of a better world. His final album, Double Fantasy, became a global bestseller after his death. His legacy continues through millions that are inspired by his vision. More than 40 years later, the world still asks, why did he die? Why him? And why like that? There may never be a satisfying answer, but what remains is his voice, immortal, unbroken, eternal. John Lennon's life ended in violence, but his message lives forever. Imagine there's no countries. Imagine there's no religion. Imagine there's nothing to kill or die for. Imagine all the people, sharing all the world and living life in peace. You imagine that. Now, if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more powerful moments from history. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.